Franz Reichelt was born on October 16, 1878. Throughout Franz's formative years and spanning into his adulthood, when he would enter the workforce in Paris as a tailor, a worldwide fascination had gripped the public conscience surrounding aviation and the concept of human flight, first appearing in the form of hot air balloons, which later gave way in favor of a focus more on airplane aviation around the beginning of the 20th century, spearheaded by the innovations and efforts of the Wright brothers in North Carolina. By 1910, airplanes had become a widespread fascination that had spread across the globe, with different and more efficient design iterations of planes constantly cropping up around this time. Furthermore, these designs and the airworthiness of these aircraft had indeed been improved significantly from the original designs of the Wright brothers. So much so, in fact, that airplanes were now able to reach altitudes of over 3,000 feet in the air. However, airplane aviation was also undoubtedly still in its infancy stages, and thus failures resulting in these airplanes suddenly plummeting from the skies were a relatively common occurrence, and more often than not resulted in the deaths of those piloting them. Naturally then, of course, parachutes were devised to help mitigate this issue. However, a common complaint with early iterations of deployable parachute designs that are very commonplace today is that, well, they often didn't deploy quickly enough to slow a stricken pilot's fall speed enough before they had reached the ground, a short-lived issue which became less and less prevalent as future iterations of airplanes only continued to increase their maximum reachable altitudes. However, in 1911 and 1912, this was still very much an unsolved issue, and an issue that Franz Reichelt sought to remedy with an invention of his own. An invention that was perhaps about a century ahead of its time: a wingsuit. Franz had devised the idea that, instead of bringing along a deployable parachute, which presented all the aforementioned drawbacks, pilots could instead simply don his wingsuit, which resembled a thick, oversized sweater, which would serve as an instantly deployable parachute, free of the drawbacks constraining deployable parachutes. Franz was so confident in his design after early successes testing it from his fifth-floor Parisian apartment, in fact, that he began to relentlessly petition the police in Paris to allow him to conduct a public test of his invention from the Eiffel Tower, and eventually the police relented to his constant badgering, allowing him an opportunity to do so on February 4th, 1912. Confident in his creation and eager to seize his afforded opportunity, Franz would don his wingsuit before he headed to the Eiffel Tower on February 4th, 1912, seeking to test his creation out himself, much to the surprise of the police who met him there, who had been under the impression that he was bringing along a dummy to wear and test the suit out, and not that he was going to be testing the suit out himself. Despite multiple police officers pleading with Franz to reconsider his plan as he readied for his jump, he ultimately couldn't be swayed, and proceeded to leap from the Eiffel Tower's first platform. Gathered onlookers would watch in horror as Franz's wingsuit failed to substantially slow his fall from the platform to the ground, as he plummeted 187 feet from the platform to his death below. Due to the highly public nature and manner of his death, in the immediate aftermath of the incident, Franz would make news headlines across France, which labeled him as a reckless inventor and a madman, two descriptors that are often levied at those who are ahead of their time, and in a way, Franz was ahead of his time, as wingsuits as a whole would eventually reemerge many decades later, and his legend lives on as one of the several immensely bizarre early aviation-related deaths that occurred in Paris in the late 1800s and early 1900s. This video was truly made possible by all the channel's members, And I just want to once again thank you all so much for your support. Thank you all for watching,